morning. Thank you for your patience today as we changed rooms. We're normally in the small or main assembly. I believe there's voting that is taking priority over us. And thank you for your patience for the IT issues as well. I'd like to call to order July 18, 2026 meeting of the Knoxville Hist Zoning Commission. This meeting is being recorded, so please remember to speak clearly and directly into the microphone. I believe this is our microphone, so we should need to raise our voices just a little more than we normally do. We'll now call the roll.
Good morning. For the record, the Knox County Historic Zoning Commission has no business this month and will not meet. So for the city of Knoxville, Commissioner Blackburn.
Here.
Commissioner Bradley is excused. Commissioner Hearns.
Here.
Commissioner Kessler.
Here.
Commissioner Kloss is excused. Commissioner Midas. Commissioner Mitchell.
Here.
Commissioner Randazzo.
Here.
Commissioner Tilley.
Here.
That's 6 presents.
Thank you. We'll now swear in the speakers. If you plan to speak on any matter before the commission, would you please stand now and reply with "I do" to the following affirmation. I solemnly affirm, if you want to speak, I solemnly affirm that the testimony I'm about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. All speakers are asked to limit their remarks to 5 minutes. Speakers must begin their remarks by stating their name and address for the record, as well as sign in at the podium. Appeals of any decision made by this commission must be made to Chancery Court within 60 days of the date of this meeting. We'll now have approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion to approve. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we'll move on to our level 1 staff reports.
I'll read through those. So at Hunt Mansion at 200 West Hill Avenue, they are replacing the existing cedar shake roof with a new cedar shake roof. We have very specific contractor details on file to discuss. If anyone has questions on that one. At 1616 Washington Avenue, the applicant is installing a new architectural shingle roof. At 1015 Luttrell Street, the installation of a new architectural shingle roof, also repaired to existing woodlap siding. At 122 West Glenwood Avenue, the applicant is repairing damaged roofing shingles, gutters, and woodlap siding due to tree damage. At 1234 Armstrong, the applicant is repairing their porch using tongue roof porch flooring. 1200 Kenyon Street, another new architectural shingle roof with replacement in kind of wood siding and trim elements as needed. And then at 210 Leonard Place, the applicant is installing a new roof, repairing the exterior wood siding boards, repairing the existing wood tongue roof flooring with replacement of the rotten boards.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to our certificates of appropriateness. Our first case is in the Scenic Drive overlay, 720 Scenic Drive.
Okay. So this application was postponed at the June 2026 meeting, so the applicant could discuss with city engineering and we could get a little bit more information on the property. So the application is for a new circular driveway in the front yard, extending south from the existing side driveway and wrapping around the front yard. It's visible on the site plan on the screen. The design guidelines state that parking pads and circular driveways shouldn't be placed in the front yard except in extraordinary cases where the driveway to the rear is impractical or unsafe. There is a driveway. Placing a new circular driveway in the front of the house will result in the majority of the front yard serving as parking, which does detract from the design guidelines recommendation of maintaining lawns, plantings, and semi-wooded areas. A new circular driveway does not meet the guidelines. So the application was postponed to get further input from city engineering. So those items include, as the applicant had said at the meeting, Scenic Drive is classified as a minor collector. The subdivision regulations require collector streets to have a turnaround on the lot so that they cannot back out onto the street. So it is a requirement. They have stated that a turnaround is required. The circular driveway would satisfy that requirement. The zoning code does prohibit front yard parking, so the only other option in the front yard would be a branch type turnaround, which would be similar to a circular driveway in terms of covering the front yard with pavement. If the space allows, the applicant could pursue a branch type turnaround behind the house. You can see it on the site plan here. That would align with the guidelines. The site plan does already show that. All alternatives should be explored or justified prior to approving a new circular driveway that doesn't meet the guidelines. So the staff recommendation is just recommends that all alternatives to new front yard parking be exhausted prior to approval of the new driveway. Documentation of a rear yard branch turnaround's viability. That would be an accurately scaled and dimensioned site plan and site photos could be submitted to staff for review. Without that information, staff would still recommend denial of a single driveway.
Thank you. See, the applicant is present. Do you have anything to add to?
Sure, so I know we had reached out to Lindsay a couple times yesterday, because Matt Johnson had reached out as well, because
Can you
our.
say your name and address?
Of course, I'm so sorry, Allison Peak, 720 Scenic Drive, Knoxville, 3799. Thank you guys so much for having me. We had spoken with Matt Johnson with City Engineering in depth about the turnaround situation. So I know there's a lot of talk about parking. We are not seeking parking for this address. We just need a safe way to be able to turn around. When we received Lindsay's email about the viability of a turnaround in the back of the home, that was when Matt was able to pull the aerial photos of the driveway and confirm that without tearing down the garage, there is no viability to be able to turn around in the backyard. There's just simply not enough space. We do have photographs, because I drive a large SUV and I understand that's a bit of like a minivan, which is kind of a mid-size, car for a family home like this, and you can't even turn around with a minivan in the back of the home. So Matt was able to confirm that it's not viable to have any type of turnaround in the backyard. So really that leaves us with the option of the front yard, like being able to put in some type of either a circular driveway, which he said would satisfy it, or a parking pad. Or, which I hate to even say parking pad, because we're not planning on using it for parking.
Okay, thank you. Did we receive any neighborhood input for this project?
No, we did not get any additional input.
Okay. Were there any members of the public that wanted to speak on this item? Okay. We'll open the floor to commission discussion.
Do we have anything from Matt?
Pardon?
Do we have anything from Matt?
We don't have a microphone today. So.
No, I mean, Mark's in really well this discussion on each other.
Yeah, a little bit. Matt, just like Lincoln said, Matt provided some information and said that because of the road classification, it would require some type of turnaround. Circular drive could satisfy the requirement, and the branch type turnaround could also satisfy the requirement. So it's up to the board's discretion on which they would prefer.
What Matt is talking about really is strictly from a zoning code perspective, not from a guidelines perspective.
Yes.
When we defer from the guidelines, it's hard to do so without the neighborhood's agreement. So a lot of times we are able to approve something, but there's an abundance of people that agree with that decision. And I'm really hesitant to go against the guidelines without that kind of buy-in, because it could become a slippery slope where all of a sudden everyone has this, because this isn't necessarily a unique issue to this home. And I would worry that all of a sudden everyone in the neighborhood's going to want a driveway. So I would like to see more neighborhood engagement and then be comfortable with it.
Might love to see. Yeah, because I served on the Kingston.
I think unless if we ask you a question, you'll have a time to respond, but right now we're discussing.
Yeah, this is something I've been thinking about a lot. Whether it's saying the name at the beginning, it's not just you. I have to interrupt people all the time about that, about limiting to 5 minutes, or commission discussion versus general discussion. We generally have a very good collaborative atmosphere, but technically we are supposed to let appointed commissioners have their own discussion, direct questions.
Sure.
I appreciate your patience.
Yeah.
Yes, a question. Okay.
So the guidelines say parking paths and circular driveways should not be placed in the front yard except in extraordinary cases where a driveway to the rear of the property is impractical or unsafe. In those cases, a small parking area may be constructed. Pervious parking material is encouraged, and landscaping should conceal the parking area from the street. When driveways are constructed, they should be as narrow as possible.
Okay, does anyone here, I mean, maybe you was choose up there, understand why they didn't want the circular driveways on Scenic Drive? I mean, I know there are some there, and it's because those people didn't buy into the guidelines or whatever, they didn't sign off on it. However, like, what's the reason? And the reason I'm saying that is because I understand what Commissioner was saying. Also, this has been before us a couple of months, and I think someone complained about the rocks, but no one has come forward and made good to say this cannot happen and this is why we disagree with it. And we clearly know that it's in front of us. So do anybody know why the driveway wouldn't, I mean, what, because I don't see like a safety issue, I don't see like something aesthetically pleasing about having a circular driveway, except for it's probably safer for getting their visitors. So I just need to know, is there something tangible?
I think I can only speak to the section of the design guidelines prior to this that says lawns, plantings, and semi-wooded areas are essential to maintain any overlay. So I think they kind of focus on that. But this is your interpretation.
And it came before us once before, and it was an after the fact review. It was the gravel of the driveway. Someone said, "Hey, what's this about?"
Yeah.
And that's how it came before us, if I understand correctly.
I know rainwater issues would be one reason in general why we don't want more pavement than we need. The driveway could be made out of impervious materials, like really nice pavers, but is there anything in the proposal that says what the driveway would be made from? That's the question.
Yes, we are planning to match the current driveway that's there, which is pea gravel. Like it's a pea gravel concrete mixture, because we want to match what's currently there. Rather than we could do like pea gravel like this, but then you're gonna be like pretty and obviously, landscape. But if we do that, then you're gonna deal with there being gravel, because it has to be raked, there's more upkeep, that type of situation. So I do think matching what's there is probably gonna be the most aesthetically pleasing, in addition to the picture that I guess we sent at the home where the landscaping, like the boxwoods will line and hide the driveway. There should be another one.
I think that was a question I was going to ask you next.
Okay.
You said something last month about how.
Yeah, I don't know if it didn't
But
end
you're
up.
going to do boxwoods.
We're gonna do boxwoods, and then the English boxwoods will also line the front of the home with incredible hydrangeas, in addition to like native plants. We'll have azaleas, and in the backyard, there's a plan for a native garden as well.
In Google Maps, January 2026, it appears to be a concrete driveway. Am I looking at the right house?
It's concrete, but there's pea gravel like mixed into it, so it's a much more expensive.
Like a softer.
It's more than twice the cost to do it to match it versus me saying, "Hey, I'm gonna just throw concrete out there."
So something that I think is important for us to have in an application, because when an application is approved and then completed, the inspectors go out and they need to say, okay, this is exactly what was in the application. And I think the neighborhood needs to say, yes, we're okay with this, and also we're okay with this material. And that needs to be really clear, because some people could take advantage of it and just throw asphalt down. And it would be hard to undo if we weren't very clear from the beginning.
I'm also wondering about the width. How is there requirements there that we could minimize that if it is just a turn and those kinds of things?
It's 12 feet. So, and that was the minimal amount that's on, like, that you could safely do. So, and it still doesn't, there's a certain amount per mat, and I guess you guys as well, that you can't cover the property with a certain percentage of any type of concrete structure, like, and we're still well below what it would be for this size lot.
Mark, could you please clarify the minimum width for circular?
For circulars, I'm not 100% sure because there's a radius there, but I do know for regular driveways, it's 10 feet.
So if we needed to make it 10 feet, we're happy to modify that to be 10 feet.
Obviously, the guidelines take precedence, and that's what we have to test. But for what it's worth, when you turn off of Kingston Pike onto Scenic, the very first house has a circular driveway. So it's not, it would be the first one on the street to have this.
Is it? I'm curious, because this was a point we talked about last week that I didn't share when we were talking earlier, about this overlay, like dots the street. So some of those are in the overlay and some of them are not in the overlay. And that makes it difficult for us to enforce something when the boundary is zigzagging along a street, and it was whether you decided to participate or not along the street. So there are a lot of circular driveways, but most of them are not in the overlay or predate the overlay. I think that's an important note. I think also, Daytona, a little bit about, to answer your question, I think Lindsay is correct in my opinion when she's talking about the landscaping being important. There's not a lot of yard available in front of this house in particular, and this driveway would intrude into much of that. Even if there was plantings there, the driveway would take up a large portion of an already small front yard. And I think that's where the guideline intent was in saying no.
So I'm thinking about that, so we're looking at the house that Rick, Commissioner Blackburn brought up. And I see, this is a question there too. I'm assuming that house is not in the overlay, is that correct? Because it would be similar if she did hers, very similar to this house. Because it's a small,
Yes.
They did good landscaping in front of it. It's difficult because when we have the spot zoning, which my understanding is the city probably would never allow that to happen again. It's very difficult. But even more so when a property and a homeowner opted into the zoning, that is more powerful to me, for me to, like, they weren't forced into it. They chose to do it, and I want to honor those wishes as well as, you know, the law.
It's kind of weird though, because they opted into it. And it's almost like everyone else who buys their house after has to abide by it. Then they might not want to opt into it, which is but it is.
And I'm wondering, you said that you were previously on the association. So can you share with me your relationship with them, or what? I'm sure we talked a little bit about this last month, but just to help us understand what it is you feel the community feels about this, having been in that role as well.
No, thank you for your question. And there is no governing body for Sequoia. So there is no common place to come together and talk about, hey, we don't want someone to do something to us. The Kingston Pike Sequoia Hills Neighborhood Association, which I was on the board for 7 years of, the goal is to beautify the community and the common spaces and provide a way for neighbors to be able to converse. But there's no way to be able to, like, get a consensus on what someone feels about, and there's also no governing body. The neighborhood association as a whole, meaning KPSHA, we want to preserve these beautiful old homes. I think I told you guys last time, my home is 102 years old. It's, I would say, a treasure to Knoxville. It's where Alex Haley wrote Roots. You know, there's lots of history that goes behind where I lay my head every night. Our goal is to make this home as beautiful and preserve it in a similar way. We don't plan to go in and make it a modern farmhouse, you know, like you see in a lot of people that, you know, want to bring things modern. Like, our goal is to preserve and make it very beautiful. And KPSHA, that is their goal as well. But the problem is, it's like there's no governing body. I mean, they just tore a really beautiful old home down on the river and like built a very contemporary, glass home that is, because it's not a part of the overlay, and it's not, I mean, you can do there's nothing that says that they can't go in and do whatever you want to your property. And this is one of those situations where we want to make it really beautiful, and it is dangerous to back on to seek.
And so just to be clear, have we got definitively the actual size in the backyard to do this? Or is this just a sight ball, or has it been work, or is there any evidence that there's...
So, and that's why we called Matt multiple times, and I guess why he called Lindsay, because we said, hey Matt, they're wanting, you guys to verify like our findings for the backyard. And his verbiage, and I think that's why I picked up the phone and called Lindsay, was, I don't need to come out. I can see it from the aerial footage. You can't back out. Like, there's no way to do a turnaround.
So Lindsay, do you feel like that all of those options have been exhausted?
And I think that's for the commission to interpret. This is the site plan that we have in front of us. I realize that this site plan may not be entirely accurate. So it really is also interpretation.
And we requested
I had a question for Lindsay. So when we're evaluating these level 3, level 4 applications, we have neighborhood input. That means members of the public that arrive on their own accord. It also means neighborhood associations. We've got in Mechanicsville, we've got the Old North Knox Neighborhood Association. We've got, I don't know the name of it, Fourth and Field. What would the association need to look for scenic drive?
So the Kingston Mexico Hills Neighborhood Association is the broad neighborhood association. It includes all peninsula, some properties along Kingston Pike. The folks that have been engaged with the overlay are folks that live on scenic drive within the overlay. And so right now, the neighborhood liaison for the overlay, its name is Robin Porter. She sent the comments in last month. This is something that we do as the commission. We do not set a way for the neighborhood to participate within themselves. We kind of give them that ability to discuss with, that's not something that has like laws, guidelines, and procedures set, which is good and bad, something we might want to work on. But the scenic drive folks have talked amongst themselves. The person, Nancy Bills, who was previously the neighborhood liaison, was involved in the design guideline drafting. And I think when she retired, she sort of handed this along to Ms. Porter. So these are folks that live within the overlay as opposed to the broader peninsula that doesn't have it.
Thank you. So we applaud members of the public that want to speak, that take time out of their day. Oftentimes we lament when we don't get more public input, but we also, we're here to protect the tremendous amount of work it takes to create these guidelines, more hours that we spend in a year here to create these guidelines and get them through city council. And that's what, so neighborhoods may not be here for something, but we've got the guidelines, that's the work. But we also, when we talk to applicants about not abiding by the guidelines, we ask the applicant to take on that burden of whether that's canvassing, going door to door, whether it's attending a neighborhood association and bringing that information that we need. Like if we had a letter on, we've got this from other applications, a letterhead from a neighborhood association saying this is against the guidelines, but we support it anyway. We think that's very valuable. Now, whether the association takes the time to do that, whether they can meet on that random Wednesday night that they normally do, whether they can attend a meeting during the morning, that's all this, hit or miss. But we ask the applicant to take on that burden. We're not going to punish a neighborhood for not being here. We ask the applicant to try to whip those votes, so to speak, to show like, hey, the neighborhood really supports this. Here's the evidence. Here's letters of people they can't attend.
I wanted to just go back to the guidelines and the exception, which said when there's no other options. And I guess I would feel better if we follow the guidelines, meaning we recognize there are no other options. And right now, I don't know that because I don't have anything solid. So it feels like to me, if there was something we could show that, the dimensions don't allow for the options, that all of the options that are available have been exhausted, and we have something in writing to say that, then I think we're following the guidelines of that. Right now, I don't know that I can make an exception, and I don't know that the exceptions have been exhausted because I don't have anything to review.
I think you got it exactly right. Last month, I kind of pontificated about engineers' requirements. That wasn't an email to the engineering department asking them to weigh in and write a letter here. That's what I expected, that's on me, I would love, but I've also talked to engineering about my own projects, and depending on what they have for breakfast that day, they don't want to tell me anything without a survey, an engineered survey with pins and a stamp. So I think that's part of the exhaustive requirement. That's something I mentioned last month, is a survey. I think that would really help us here.
We requested that from Matt, and Matt said that he does not come to these meetings. If we need to create something else, but this was my fear of why we reached out to Matt and spoke with them, 3 to 4 different times over the past few days. It's like, hey, they're asking for you to be able to rule out the fact that the backyard is an option because it's clearly stated in your, and so he said that was the purpose of this call to Lindsay. And so, and the emails that have gone back and forth from Matt saying, hey, we recommend putting a circle driveway in the front yard. So, we're happy to do whatever we need to do, but I guess I'm not sure, there was a request for city engineering to evaluate the viability of, first of all, the code that there has to be a way to get out of the driveway without backing onto Zenith. We were able to do that through engineering. Same thing with the back driveway. He said, I don't need to come out there and measure. I can see it from the aerial footage. I'm happy to call Lindsay and let her know. And then we received the email from.
That's something that we've also specifically requested, was survey drawings not by the engineering department. They don't do surveys for free.
We're happy to pay to do it, and that's what we told him. That he was very clear that he does not need to come out to be able to evaluate whether there's a turnaround in the back.
That's still going to be important, again, to what Commissioner Randazzo spoke about, with inspectors going out in the field and verifying work that's been completed, an engineered survey that's accurately scaled and dimensioned. I think that's at least one requirement.
You talk to Matt.
I'm on an email thread with Matt and Lindsay.
Okay. What did Matt say?
So Matt said directly, he said that because of the road classification, so it's an existing condition. It can remain back out driveway as it is. It's an existing condition. They want to change it and meet it to today's ordinance. Because of the classification of the road, it would require a turnaround. Now, they can do a circular driveway, or they can do a branch type turnaround.
That's what his email said.
Matt said the circular driveway would satisfy the requirement, but also the other type would also satisfy the requirement. He did not say that it has to be a circular or it has to be branch type. There's 2 options. They can go with either option.
And again, this is just from the zoning code perspective, not the guideline perspective. There's no recommendation for a circular driveway from Matt.
Did Matt say anything about, he looked at the back, he saw the area, he would really see?
Not in the email that I have. Obviously, he would need to see the topography. We need to see a topo map.
But he
or a
didn't say
survey.
that to you?
No.
He just said that?
Yeah, just in this email thread that I have, I haven't had any extra conversation.
I think when we're talking about the T-type turnaround, that would have less square footage of impervious material and more ability for front lawn and things like that. I think that's why that option would be considered or should be considered and considered as a part of this as an alternative.
And we are surmising that the reason the people who created this guideline created it for the beautification That was the reasoning behind the review for the
So I have the design guidelines, have a decent amount of sort of design guidelines that relate to basically the amount of impermeable features on a lot, such as paving, patios, concrete decks, etc., have a direct effect on the amount of runoff and the degree of flooding that it can happen in area. So there's the discussion about impervious versus pervious pavement in the area. There are also a whole set of design guidelines about site design. And so there are specific requirements for parking pads, and the intent says small parking areas may be constructed. Pervious parking material is encouraged. Landscaping should consider the parking area from the street. So these guidelines continue to emphasize the landscaping, the green space, the front yards, the avoidance of the impervious surface coverage, and that's where this is coming from.
Do we know anything about whether there's flooding that has been created in the city as a result of driveways? I hadn't heard anything. Usually those spots, but
It's not getting better.
okay.
I had a question. So the guidelines specify planting. I don't think since I've been on the commission we've ever had a planting schedule by a landscape architect that we've included as a part of the approved application. That again, inspectors would be able to review, like do hydrangeas check right here on the scale drawing. Is that something that, consider the guidelines are?
We have seen them for some properties.
Yeah, I think in this district, because it's a neighborhood conservation overlay, the majority of the design guidelines are related to new construction. So there's a guideline here that has specifics about ornamental trees, et cetera, for front and rear yards shown on of each building submitted and for approval for new construction. So something like this is not, we haven't commonly asked for that.
There was an addition and alteration of the front of the building in this district that was not long ago, and they had a full landscape manager. Everything was there.
You can
That
say
level
so that
sorry. We had another project that we reviewed recently where there was an addition on the front of a building, or an alteration of the front, that included a patio and a circular drive and other information. There was additional information. It was a pre-existing circular drive, I believe, and they were just extending the entranceway to meet that driveway. But they had extensive planning of what the particular plants would look like. And it was able for us, we were able to feel confident that that's what it would look like in the end. And I don't think what has been submitted to us makes us feel comfortable that we know what it's gonna look like in the end.
I'm having to send a right now. That's the third garage.
And she's getting mad. I have a question. That particular one, do you know which neighborhood was?
That was
The same
1209
one.
Scenic Drive. 1209 Scenic Drive, we reviewed it in the springtime, and Hallie is accurate in
That sounds true.
the site plan, et cetera.
Was it this year?
Yes.
I don't know where that came from in my brain.
Yes, just several months ago.
She knew the address.
I mean,
So we're making a checklist for you for what, as we say, we want. We have voted on that, but I want a survey. I think I really want a landscape, survey and site plan, landscape design, because the guidelines talk so much about planting. We have to be able to give our inspectors exactly what they need.
Is there any reason we didn't bring any of this up last month?
We didn't talk about the plants last month, to my knowledge, but again,
we did ask for a lot of additional information. And as far as we are aware, the only new information we brought up is emailing with Matt.
Well, the reason, because I think you said something about the engineering part of it, so that's kind of what I'm left with as well. But just hearing this information about us looking at the landscaping. So I remember her bringing up the boxwoods or whatever she brought up last month, that how she was going to have to decorate when she was speaking. But I just didn't hear us ask.
We've heard that verbally, but haven't had it.
Yeah, I didn't hear us request that they be part of coming back again next month, and whenever she came back, she was to bring that.
correct.
So I was just wondering why we were.
Here it is. This one does not show the boxwoods around the circular driveway,
No.
but we need to get we have a separate one. He was trying to.
I appreciate you working quickly, but we publicly advertise these meetings, the applications go out for public review.
I need to look back through our email.
So the other thing we talked about last month we haven't quite touched on is, again, this is me just kind of asking aloud for city employees that watch the recordings of this. If you're not here, you're going to get blamed for things. Engineering department. I wanted to know: can historic zoning just authorize a curb cut, or can engineering overrule us after the fact? We often have approvals that are pending engineering review, but cutting a curb for a driveway entrance is not an easy task. I wouldn't think that would be something that historic zoning could just do by itself.
Yeah, so this hasn't been submitted for plan review, so no one's actually putting this on the plan. And then typically, I think there's conditions that it has to meet city engineering standards. And so if it wasn't functional and safe deemed by engineering, I don't believe they would allow it to happen. And then it would have to come back for an alternative.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, so I think the best route would be to get this actually in review. And that way they get it to where it's approvable, and then up to you guys to decide if it meets the guidelines and something that you guys want.
Get this in review.
And plans review for permit.
Okay. Can it be in plans review without approval here?
It can get in plans review, it just can't get permitted until it has a CO.
All right. Do you understand what he's talking about?
I do. The reason why we didn't submit for a permit is because we did not have approval here first. So, I don't foresee it being an issue to get it permitted as far as there's circular drives all along Scenic Drive as well as throughout the neighborhood. So I don't think it's gonna be difficult, like once we get approval here to get it permitted. But if that's something that you guys want us to do, we'll absolutely.
I think so. I think that's a wise choice. We can cover all our bases again. Like,
I think that's no big gun. Unless if we feel confident that, we would approve a circular driveway, I feel like that's unnecessary hoops for her to jump through. Ideally, before anything was done, a permit would have been applied for, and that would have flagged all of this before any stuff was put down. There's no reason a dumpster should be in the yard without a permit pulled on a property. But when we're talking about having a more thorough site plan done and all options really looked over, I would want to know why, like, that fourth tree along, and like, we don't design projects, that's not our job, but I'm like trying to be as helpful as I can without, doing what I shouldn't do. But like, I would take out that fourth tree, I would talk with the neighbor, and I would do the curb, or what do you call the turnaround thing? I would do a branch there, and if you showed us a plan that said we can't do a branch by removing some of this landscaping, it just definitely wouldn't work, then, okay, what's the next option? The next option is a branch in the front yard. And if, we have good reasoning why that doesn't work, then we're left with the circular driveway, and that's when we can really have a conversation of, can we move forward with this? But everything has to be exhausted, like, this is the last resort.
So it's a very old magnolia tree that you see right by the home. We are in the it had been since we purchased the home. Like, it was not as healthy as it could be, so we have been trying to bring it back. That's the part that limits doing a branch driveway up by the house. That old magnolia would have to come down.
When I look on the Google Maps, there's significant landscaping. So if that driveway is 10 feet wide, that landscaping to the left of the driveway is almost 10 feet. And I know that it's like elevated and there's a hill, but like, again, I can't design this from Google Maps. The city engineering can't do this, but we need just drawings and plans that concretely tell us why it can't be done, because then that leaves like the legal framework for everything was exhausted. Yes, yes, and yes, and now we're here. But I have to
That's what
ask
the guidelines say. The guidelines say why, you have to evaluate the other options first before.
This very possibly could be what you end up with, and I think it could look good, but we just have to follow the process.
Agreed. So, just so that we're not doing unnecessary work or putting unnecessary resources. Matt, from his recommendation, he was pretty straightforward.
So it's not city, I just have to clarify, it's not city engineering's role to make recommendations to the Historic Zoning Commission. They evaluate site plans they evaluate what's in front of them, so they look at this at the time, just to clarify.
And again, there was no recommendation.
So when I spoke to Matt, or last meeting, you guys said you wanted a recommendation from city engineering. So that's why we sought to work with Matt. Like when we left, we're postponing based upon engineering's recommendation.
I think we also said and additional information about alternatives. I remember us talking about branch driveway considerably, about other alternatives. I think that may be what you took from that, but there was a lot of discussion beyond just, is that allowed through city? There was a lot more discussion that we had. Correct me if I'm wrong, we talked about a lot. We talked about the branch driveway and why it wouldn't work in the front.
And I don't understand why the branch driveway wouldn't work. Like, there's room to not affect that magnolia, but furthermore, I think there's another option along the property line. And I mean, if we wanted to be like really by the book, we might be like, in that exterior building, we gotta move it back 10 feet. Like, that could be an option, and I don't think anyone's gonna go there.
Why did we approve 1209?
So the approval of 1209 was based on that not being visible from the street. The property is incredibly elevated, and there was a significant amount of landscaping shown in both photos and the site plan. And so the existing driveway is not visible from the street, and the proposed circular driveway was moving it closer to the house, so it would be even less visible.
Why did we make them do a parking pad? Why didn't we require them to do a parking pad?
I don't know why.
There's plenty of space back there. So they're looking at it.
That's not-
There wasn't neighborhood opposition.
That's not any
They were in support of the application.
I mean, we still don't have any neighbors.
We received opposition.
About rocks and the rocks.
No, it was about I can go back and pull it up, but it was about the proposed front parking.
It's about what?
It was about the circular driveway in the front.
Oh, so is that the same thing?
Yes, we got a significant amount of written comment from the neighborhood that I read out into the record last month, but we didn't get it for this month, so I didn't provide it again.
I don't think, the neighborhood representative, it was not a negative, it just said she hoped that it would be beautiful and.
No, we can read it.
Yeah, if you can read it.
Dallas, would you mind pulling that up, please?
Lindsay?
Yes.
Not that we're trying to get someone else to do our heavy lifting for us, but would it benefit the applicant if she were able to provide a letter from the homeowners association in support of this?
I think that the applicant has pretty clearly represented how this is, that's a challenging request, because the Kingston Pegs and Hills Association, being a larger body that doesn't meet that often, they do have monthly neighborhood board meetings, but they do not typically look at properties in the overlay. They've been expanding that discussion, but then the folks that represent the scenic drive overlay are generally private citizens who've been upholding these design guidelines and speaking amongst themselves. So I do think that would be challenging for them.
So we did, this is one from just a neighbor. My 6-year-old attends Sequoia Elementary and my 4-year-old is in Sequoia Early Elementary program. The home that's at 20 Scenic Drive is a cause of concern for the variance. They have asked for this home historically. Their requests are not home.
Speak
As
a little
well
louder if you
as-
don't mind.
Sorry. Okay. As well as the proximity from the turnout of Oak Drive onto Scenic and the school zone of Sequoia Elementary makes this unsafe and unnecessary. So that was just what we heard. From the neighborhood representative, Robert Porter, from the neighborhood rep. I have been in this home and it needs a lot of love. I appreciate the efforts of the team managing the home and remodel. We are not concerned, oh, sorry, that's this. Let me, sorry, this is. Well, it's like
She sent it on accident.
Oh, okay. I'll just I've been in this home and it needs a lot of love. I appreciate the efforts of the team managing the home and remodel. We are not concerned about what is being done to the inside so much as the original character and charm of the home when it was designed and built. The overlay requests that the maximum lot coverage for the home and the outlying buildings be no more than 30% of the lot. Pavement in the front and or sides of the home will be minimized so the landscaping and plantings convey the impression of a residential setting. The maximum desirable lot coverage for all impermeable surfaces, including structure, outline buildings, driveway, pool, patio, tennis courts, and other features be no more than 50% of the lot. The home has a 2-car garage set back plus room behind the home for another 1 or 2 cars that might be downloading groceries. In our view, there is no need for yet a half-circle driveway in the front yard. We live in a 100-year-old neighborhood, not Riverbend or Farragut. While these may be desired in those neighborhoods, this is not the character of this 100-year-old subdivision. Some half-circle drives do exist on scenic, but the lots are much larger than this one. Replacing the now non-existent front yard with a walkway, grass, and appropriate native plantings native to the south would be in keeping with how the home would have originally looked, a look we are striving to maintain and nurture for generations to come.
Thank you, Dallas. All right, Commissioners, are we ready to make a motion?
So the house is over 100 years old or something?
It's not, my home I live in is 102.
Okay,
This
so
home is 80 years old.
So the people who lived in this house got out without this. Right?
So the side driveway was probably constructed alongside the construction of the house.
So for at least 50 years, they were using the house without. And why do you feel like
It's just nuts. I mean, as far as looking at how the house is existing, now, the family that we bought the home from, they've not lived there in a while. They were an older couple that went into assisted living like periodically, and so the family kept the house, so it's been sold since. But with the increased traffic in the neighborhood, they also put a stop sign there that's not been there before, like right at where Kenilworth meets like Alta Vista. It's scenic, it's just with all the popularity in the neighborhood, it's gotten busier and busier, and it is dangerous to back on. And then that row of hedges belongs to the neighbors, and they are not willing to give up that for visibility for privacy.
If we're ready for a motion, I think that staff recommendation, I would move that, make a motion with the staff recommendation, and I would also include, I guess, I don't have my glasses, could you read the staff?
Yeah, so the staff recommendation is all alternatives to new front yard parking be exhausted prior to approval of the new circular driveway. I will say, y'all may feel differently based on this discussion. The recommendation said that documentation of a rear yard bridges turnaround's viability via an accurately scaled and dimensioned site plan and site photos could be submitted to staff for review. And then in this instance, staff would recommend denial of the circular driveway, which would require the applicant to reapply.
Change this right to, sorry.
I think, I don't know how the language that I want to motion, to exist, but certainly with respect to having exhausted all of and I see where you're putting exhausted prior to approval, all of the alternatives with writing so we can see what are those options and that we have something to evaluate those.
So I would recommend either a motion to, if you're wanting to keep the option open to explore and potentially come back, there are two options. You could do a denial without prejudice, meaning that for now it's denied that they could come back after they've explored some more options. Or you could do a postponement. So I would recommend one of those two options, whichever the commission feels is appropriate.
I'm inclined to go with the first. Without prejudice.
This circuit for driveway is the most safe, without question. Because they're having to back out on scenic, there's vegetation here, and they're backing out.
We have a motion on the floor.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, sorry, I thought she was making a motion.
I did, and I was going with the first.
Motion to deny without prejudice.
All right, we'll just discuss. So we have a motion, do we have a second? With no second, the motion fails. Welcome back to commission discussion.
I think a postponement is appropriate so we can get, see that all options are exhausted, and then furthermore have in writing, what the materials to be used are. And I would encourage you to explore some other options, like, when you have just the concrete that goes under the two wheels for the car, like if it's truly just for backing out because you can't park in it, that could be a really beautiful option that's way less expensive. But I would like to see the design fleshed out. We need the neighborhood to have an opportunity to review it, not just driveway, but driveway made of this. So for that reason, I'd like to postpone for, do you feel like 30 days is adequate, or sometimes we do 60?
And 30 days is fine. But it would be helpful for you guys to have, if we can bullet exactly what you're asking for, just so that when we come back, we can provide exactly what you guys would like to see.
Can I summarize what I think you guys have said? It seems like you're asking for that accurately scaled and dimensioned site plan, site photos, and then Commissioner Randazzo, you asked about proposed materials for the driveway, and then I think the other thing that folks have asked about is landscaping.
Sure.
And the other thing that I recommended, I think Commissioner Blackburn also recommended, was that you seek out neighborhood approvals in some form to bolster your
I think the hard, starting on the board, it is very difficult to ask for any type of neighborhood approval and for it to carry any weight, because at that point, you are either supporting or not supporting, what other people have done. To your point about putting asphalt, lots of people, it looks terrible, but they come in and they put asphalt in. And so it's difficult in this situation, in a neighborhood our size, with the amount of people who take a great deal of, my children are.
It's your prerogative to spend your time how you want.
But it's not, I would have a hard time asking someone to take a stand on it one way or another, because it's going to expose them to scrutiny based upon, well, it's my home, I can put asphalt in my front yard if I want to, or I support, it's just a tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here's my concern. A lot of times we offer postponement. We offer postponement to folks to go gather more information, come back with more information. Other than one conversation, there wasn't a lot more information this time. If we do a postponement, and then my concern about a postponement is us not seeing any additional information. If we do a postponement, do you think you're going to have additional information?
But I think
Or
that
do
she
you
came
think
back with what we asked her to do last time. That's why I said, well, why didn't we ask for certain things last time if there was more information we're asking about this time?
But she's also telling us right now she doesn't think she can get any neighborhood input.
Oh, I think I
which is-
can absolutely get it.
Okay.
Just I mean, I think I
from the
can get it if you want it. I guess what I'm saying is I don't know how much weight it's going to carry. So yes, I can get lots of, to your point,
We
even
are happy to facilitate discussing with not the whole neighborhood board, but with the folks that talk about the scenic drive design guidelines.
I'm happy to reach out to Robin and, you know, neighbors, because we have people stop daily about how much better the house looks already based upon just removing the landscaping that had been overgrown for the past however many years.
I guess my concern here, we had discussions.
Well, we have a motion on the floor.
I did not make a motion. I said,
She was asking specifically. which one.
I said I'm inclined to postpone, and then I gave my reasoning.
If I recall, you did make a motion and we stopped because you asked how many days you wanted to bring to this.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
So normally we don't do that, but we're all trying our best here. So we have a motion, 30 days. We'll have other discussion when we end up on the 30 days. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? We have a second. All right, any further discussion before we vote?
Yes, if you do not get the vote on postpone, what happens?
We,
Looking for another motion.
yeah, another motion gets to the floor.
And we can repeat past motions, right? Okay.
All right, any further discussion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Blackburn? Yes. Commissioner Kessler?
Yeah.
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
Commissioner Randazzo?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
I don't know how to vote, because did we clarify what we need her to bring in 30 days? What did we say?
So we said, a scaled and dimensioned site plan and site photos, with the items in writing, including materials, what type of driveway it will be, and then information on landscaping. And then there was a lot of discussion about neighborhood input. Was that put into your motion?
I didn't put anything into my motion other than 30 days, but
Yeah.
I would add to that list. And again, you can't check off all these boxes and it guarantees things move forward. It's just, this is what we need to make a decision. But I would add to your list as staff, we need to understand exactly why a branch turnaround will not work in the front yard. But it has,
Commissioner Mitchell, we need an answer on that.
And I'm saying,
You may.
Yes.
Yes, I'm voting yes.
That is 4 yes, 1 no, no abstention.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to, well, the 1705 Jefferson Avenue has already been postponed, so we're going to, in Edgewood Park City, 1726 Washington Avenue.
Okay, so this is an exterior rehab project. It includes after-the-fact review of the roof replacement. The applicant is proposing to repair the existing windows and siding repair. The initial application proposed to repair the current wood siding by patching in LP Smart Siding brand composite siding boards with the existing wood. The application also includes a proposed deck, which is 8 feet by 10 feet wide and will have a shed roof above. And so I will note that we updated the case file online. The applicant submitted a good deal of additional documentation in response to the staff recommendation. So I will have, that is in your packets, we'll have that on the screen. We didn't have that site plan when the staff recommendation was made. So repair of the existing double hung 3/1 wood windows is appropriate with the design guidelines. Should any window elements require replacement, the applicant should follow up with staff regarding the review and approval. Regarding the siding, the wood lap siding is deteriorated or broken in places. Much of that existing wood siding is intact, and the LP Smart siding would not necessarily duplicate the dimension, detail, and profile of the existing wood. So patching in the LP Smart siding boards with existing wood siding is not appropriate within the design guidelines. Any rock or missing wood siding should be replaced with wood boards. The application proposes to reinforce the framing of the front deck cover, so that's that porch roof there, and reuse the scallop siding on the gable. Any additional information is necessary on what the framing reinforcement entails. The applicant did further provide information that already verified. And so then, if they were removing that scallop pattern siding, there are some notes from the design guidelines that recommend replacing missing wood features with designs compatible in style, scale, and size. Smaller wood shingles reflective of similar houses in the neighborhood or lap siding to match the house would be more appropriate than that oversized asphalt siding if that element is removed. A new wood deck in the dimensions and materials as proposed meets the design guidelines. The deck railing should feature balusters set to the top and bottom rails, and a new shed roof on the rear elevation is appropriate within the guidelines. The staff report asks that the applicant submit additional details on the roof's pitch and materials to staff for review, and that is what's on the screen now. So the staff recommendation is to approve 7A26 HC subject to the following conditions: that all wood lap siding be replaced in kind. Additional details on the porch roof repair and reconstruction be submitted to staff for approval. Any major repair or replacement will be delegated to the commission for review. And with any new shingles on the gable to be compatible in size, scale, and material with the house. And then additional information on the rear deck's materials and pitch to be submitted to staff for review, and the deck balusters to be set at the top and bottom rails.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Can you state your name and address for the record?
Jason Strange, 1726 Washington.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add to the staff report?
Well, on the porch itself, so you see these two outside pylons, those are essentially where the load is being held. If you go up underneath, they are snapped at the house, so they do say to repair. All the load is sitting on those two columns right now. It's actually pulling away, so the repair would be to go up, reframe the inside of that, put LVLs through the actual wall of the house on key studs just to make sure that that is stable. You know, all the load's not sitting on those two columns. To give you an insight on how to fix it. But we would keep the same. I mean everything would be the same. We wouldn't rip it off. We would replace everything.
Thank you. Did we receive any neighborhood input for this project?
No comments.
Commission discussion or questions?
I spoke with some people in the Park Ridge neighborhood, and they're very excited to see you taking on this project. We're hopeful and excited, encouraged by this application, and appreciate it. So my understanding is the plan is to keep the design in the, what do you call it, the front of the house, the fish scalloping. You're just gonna keep it as is.
Well, I mean, we're going to make every attempt. It's still in pretty good condition. There might be a couple of them that have some rot, but overall, when we looked at it after we got with you guys, originally we were going to go back with a cedar that looked very similar, but once we started this process here, we decided that we would just try to make that work as much as possible. So we feel very confident we will. Now the siding itself is pretty rough. But that piece right there, we're just really confident.
Yeah, so is your proposal to use the LP Smart siding to match?
My original proposal was because there's no sheeting, there's no house wrap, and without that, it does deter insulation inside the walls due to fungal growth, We would like to redo all of it, but once again, to stay within these guidelines, we'd be more than happy to just repair it.
What is it with the LP Smart siding?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's a premium wood product to try to stay with the period and what's good.
Now, I haven't used it in a long time. Is it available in a smooth finish, or is it got that wood grain?
It does have the wood grain.
That's not going to match, unfortunately.
In this neighborhood, we've had people repair with LP siding, and they've had to go and remove it. I don't think the neighborhood would be in support of the LP siding, but instead using the lap siding.
like I said, we're just trying to like bring in product, so, you know, we'll do whatever you guys suggest, whatever material.
Yeah, most likely it needs to be, I don't know what species of wood this is. I'm disclosure, I live in historic overlay, and I'm currently purchasing siding for my house, and I ended up choosing cedar, which has a texture on one side that would not be appropriate to put on the outside, but on the other side, it's smooth to match existing. It's about that texture difference. This commission has debated LP smart siding, amounts of glue, amounts of wood fibers, and what is wood, but it's kind of a moot point because the texture doesn't match.
Like I said, this is my first experience with this committee, so, you know, we're open to anything, whatever you guys recommend, we'll do more than we do.
Thank you.
I think that is reflected in the staff recommendation.
So we're just clarifying that LP siding does not probably meet that.
Maybe they have a smooth version, but cross that bridge when we come to it. All right, any further commission discussion? None. Open the floor for motion.
I'll make a motion to approve based on staff recommendation.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you for your patience.
Next, we'll move on to Old North Knoxville, 1318 Armstrong Avenue.
Okay, so this application is for full window replacement. The windows to replace our original and include 6/1 and 8/1 double-hung wood windows and 6 light wood casement windows. The proposed new windows are Renewal by Anderson, which are Fibrex composite, and include exterior simulated divided lights with grids between the glass where proposed. The application proposes to replace the facade windows with 6 light wood casement windows and 6/1 and 8/1 double hung casement windows. And then the side and rear elevation windows will be 1/1 double hung windows or single light casements. So all of the windows proposed for replacements are original and historic, except for there are 4 6-light windows on the right side of the south elevation, which is described as the office. You can see it here on the screen on the far right side. Those are non-historic. They were installed in 2018. Several casement windows were restored and reinstalled in 2018. So previous COAs do document repairs to these windows in the past. The application includes extensive documentation of deterioration of interior and exterior wood rot, including warped sashes and inoperable windows. So replacement of these windows is appropriate within the design guidelines. Fibrex composite material has not been approved as a replacement material for historic windows in Old North Knoxville. It was proposed at 224 Leonard Place and recommended for denial. And there was a fiberglass composite material approved in 2023 for 2,000 windows installed in 2005 on a non-historic edition. Guidelines recommend that replacement windows be the same materials as the originals, which were usually wood. Guidelines also recommend that replacement windows be the same size with the same pane division and mounted depth width and profile as the original. And these proposed replacement windows, as you can see here, only replicate the pane division and muntins on the facade, and then they have single light or 1/1s on the side and the rear. The applicant provided a very helpful window key here, and those are the ones that will be replicated on the front. So the recommendation is to postpone 7B26HC to allow the applicant to propose a revised window product that matches the originals in material and paint division.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Can you say your name and address for the record?
Drew Berry, 1318 Armstrong Avenue.
All right. Do you have anything to add to this document?
No, it's just that, I mean, the windows are nearly totally rotted out. The upstairs is a huge concern. It's a safety issue because there's no egress points. The only one is on the sides, and that's like a 20-foot drop. So if a fire were to break out, I'm basically dead. Because the only safe way to exit would be through the front, get out onto the porch overhang and jump down from there. But none of those open. They were never designed to open. So, you know, I would like to replace all of them, but it sounds like based on your review, I need to either go with another company, or you're saying I need to do, or to change the material?
Yeah, so the staff recommendation would be a different, so that, just to back up, the design guidelines recommend replicating the materials, and then replicating the paint division. And so the proposal only replicates the paint division on the front, not on the sides.
Got it.
And then it also doesn't replicate the materials, it's a different material.
Contracts versus wood.
So I was,
And
sorry, am I allowed to
staff.
speak?
Sure.
Sorry. Well, I was told that this had already been approved in the past, so, but again, I don't sit in these meetings, so I'm not sure, but that's just what the, Anderson was telling me, hey, we should be good to go here, these have been approved in the historical district, but again, I can't verify that, so that's all I have.
Yes, staff is satisfied with your documentation information about the need to, place all windows. It's just material, which Old North has historically been very strict on going back with wood windows and primary structures and original buildings.
I think it's important to add other overlays we have approved it. But in Old North Knox, that is not the case, and that may be where the misunderstanding came from your sales rep. Not all districts are the same. Each one has their own set of guidelines and specific things about what they want that neighborhood. When they're developed by the neighborhood, what it is that they want to see in that neighborhood. So they are different from neighborhood to neighborhood. Old North Knox is very different from others.
You did a wonderful job taking photos and giving good evidence that the windows aren't good.
Thank you.
Who's your sales rep? Just curious.
Gregory Fairclough.
Okay. I'm familiar with some of them. I don't know Gregory.
Or he goes by Greg.
Okay.
He's a big, tall, bald British guy, so you probably remember him if you didn't.
All right, any commission discussion?
I have a question. Do these windows like open like that?
The ones in the office, I believe, should
That's
open,
easy.
should swing out, because the current ones, that's the way they're designed, so we tried going with, leg for legs, but I wasn't aware that, the material wasn't, couldn't go through, so.
What is Pyrex? It's not
There's actually, the material, yeah, the details are in the application packet, it's a composite.
And the neighborhood discussed and they're not?
They just have not been, they have not been approved, the material has not been approved in the neighborhood yet. It was denied on one application, in 2021. And then the neighborhood input was just that they're, in agreement with staff recommendation.
And has the neighborhood approved aluminum clad wood?
I'd have to go back, I don't understand.
Okay. Yeah, I would recommend, have you spoken with Sean in the neighborhood?
Sean?
Bolin, he could maybe tell you what windows have been approved to make it way easier for him.
He's your neighborhood rep, very active.
Pardon me?
He's the neighborhood rep and he's extremely active.
Okay.
And accessible.
We were talking about how those associations work differently in different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Sean used to serve on this board, and now he heads a subcommittee of the Old North Knoxville Neighborhood Association that discusses these applications and gives a formal recommendation.
Yeah.
He just did the remodel across the street from you.
Yeah, they're doing it right now, they're gutting the whole house.
Go knock on that door.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay. Well, I don't think he's not gonna be living there for months. I mean, that house is falling down. Okay, that'd be great, I appreciate it. And I'm sorry, you said his name was Sean Bolin? Bolin, got it.
We'll connect you, yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Are we ready for a motion?
I would like to see the neighborhood discuss Pyrex, but that's not gonna happen in time for you, I don't think. I'd like to make a motion to postpone.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
You want to set a date on there?
30 days.
30 days? Okay. Yep, sure.
If you're not ready in 30 days, it's not.
Yeah, well, I just have to, wait till the next, I guess, meeting here and
Yeah,
just
just
like, once a month.
So, all All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, next, we will be at 1321 Armstrong Avenue.
The applicant is requesting to demolish an original brick chimney on the south side elevation that is now partially clad in stucco. A new 3-foot wide by 30-foot tall brick chimney with the same profile will be constructed in its place. The commission considered the same demolition and replacement requests at their May meeting, where they did not approve demolition and requested that the applicant remove sections of the stucco and repair the chimney if possible. The applicant has since submitted photos where the stucco was removed from the bottom of the chimney, which shows falling and crumbling brick and deteriorated mortar. They provided a drawing of the new chimney design in addition to the specifications submitted in May. The guidelines encourage removing and replicating chimneys that are too deteriorated to repair using remaining physical evidence. The chimney is significantly damaged, so removal can be appropriate. The design of the proposed replacement chimney matches the existing, and the proposed brick and river sand mortar mix are similar in color and texture to the original. Staff is recommending approval of Certificate 7C26HC, subject to the condition that the size of the replacement chimney reflects the existing, the specific measurements submitted to staff prior to demolition of the existing chimney.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes, smaller and to employee Scott.
Appreciate that. Do you have anything to add to the staff's review? Awesome. All right, do we receive any neighborhood input on this item?
They are in agreement with the staff recommendation, and said the chimney's too far gone to say they removed it.
Any commission discussion?
I think the chimney looks fine. Thank you for doing the work and coming back. We appreciate it.
When I saw the brick,
It's like Play-Doh.
the portions of brick that are left, it's hard to skip speed. All right, just so we can safely take this thing down quicker, let's go ahead and get a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we approve based on staff recommendation.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, next, we're staying in Knoxville, 1318 Cornelia Street.
Okay, so this is exterior rehab of a secondary structure. They are proposing to replace the T111 plywood siding and trim with fiber cement lap siding, and they have a new access door proposed for the northeast elevation. So the secondary structure is listed as contributing in the National Register District. It is historic, but it's highly modified. We actually have applications on file from 2000 where the garage was damaged in a storm, and that application noted that the garage already had painted plywood siding in. And so in 2000, the Historic Zoning Commission allowed them to just make repairs in kind. So that is, to our knowledge, the metal roofing and the plywood siding repairs from 26 years ago. In Old North, the fiber cement siding has been approved for new secondary structures and as exterior rehab for non-historic secondary structures. Fiber cement lap siding wouldn't meet the guidelines as a replacement for a historic wood lap siding in this neighborhood. But right now it's proposed to replace non-historic siding on a highly altered building. And so we would recommend that the proposed fiber cement siding reflect the exposure and finish of the primary house, just typically 4 to 5 inches and smooth finish. Then it would actually bring the secondary structure more in line with the design guidelines. The door is proposed for an interior facing elevation that's not visible from the right of way. You can see that in the front left photo. And it should be compatible with the outbuilding in scale and design, and final specs should be submitted to staff for approval, and the applicant has already done that. So staff recommends approval of 7D26HC subject to the conditions that the final siding feature and exposure and trim details to match the primary house, and the door specs be submitted to staff.
Thank you. Yeah, present.
Yeah, I'm Alicia, I work for 218 Cornelia Street.
Thank you.
And I did already submit the lap siding. It's actually 6 inches what they're recommending, because that matches exactly to the house. So it will match the look and grain of the house, as well as we submitted the specs for the door. It's a 36-inch 6-panel metal exterior door with a lock-free frame. It will face the yard, not the street.
Do we receive any neighborhood input on the side?
There is no sound.
Support 7. Any commission discussion?
I would like to make a motion that we approve based on staff recommendation.
All right, we have a motion to approve the staff recommendation and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
This
Thank
meeting
you for
is-
your patience.
meeting is adjourned.
Okay.